Tell me in the comments below, are you a person who self-sabotages? Are you the type of person that pulls away from the relationship? Do you start unnecessary drama? If so, I would love to hear from you. And I want you to stick around because this video is about how to not self-sabotage in your relationship. I hope you enjoy the video and let's talk love. Before we begin, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I would love for you guys to join the Inspiry fam and follow us, subscribe to our channel here at Love Inspiry YouTube. And you can also give us a thumbs up, drop your comments below, give us some positive feedback, some encouragement to keep going and strengthening relationships as we grow in business. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Love Inspiry. But now, what we are here for. We are here to talk about self-sabotaging in relationships. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. So what are we talking about when we say self-sabotage? I am referring to a behavior or a thought that keeps you from your desired outcome. So when it comes to a relationship, you create a problem that really doesn't exist. You start fights and you pick fights over little minimal stuff that really does not even matter because of fear, because of rejection, because of whatever the case may be, child trauma, whatever the case may be. You just start something for no reason. That's self-sabotage. But let's talk about some reasons why people self-sabotage. It could be fear of being loved. It could be your fear that you are going to mess the relationship up. Like I said, it could be something that you learned in your childhood. Or this is a huge one. Your previous relationship wasn't great. So you know how sometimes we can take our frustrations out from the last relationship on the new relationship. We tend to group men or women together because we were scorned by another man or a woman. That is the ultimate self-sabotage. You cannot group people together because everybody is not alike. Everybody is going to not treat you the same. You're going to have people that are going to admire and respect you, and then you're going to have people that disrespect you, people that don't value you. So you can't group them all together. Don't let one bad seed spoil the rest of the bunch. You know, there's not always, just because there's one bad apple in the bag doesn't mean all the apples are bad. Don't let that one person spoil you and keep you guarded and keep you not being able to be loved, right? Because when we self-sabotage, when we start fights, we keep ourselves from being loved by the person that really could be genuine and really want and desire a relationship with you. You know, we have to cut that out. So this video is more about how we can overcome self-sabotage. How can we stop self-sabotaging in our relationship? I don't want to spend a lot of time on talking about, you know, what causes it and this, that, and the third, because you know what causes it. You know if you're a self-sabotager. You know if you are starting unnecessary drama. You know if you have a guard up. You know if you pull away right before somebody decides to love all of you. You know all of that. But how do we overcome that? How do we get to a place of giving love and then most importantly receiving that love back? How do we come to that? Listen, the first step to recovery is admission. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to realize, hey, I am being toxic in the relationship. I'm the toxic person. I'm the one that's causing these issues and causing these feelings. It's not the partner. It's not them. And that could be very hard to do because a lot of people are not self-aware. A lot of people think that self-awareness is a weakness. If I get on myself, I'm putting myself down. No, it's not about putting yourself down. It's about pulling yourself up. And the only way to pull yourself up is to identify those weaknesses, to identify, hey, I am a self-sabotager. I am a little bit toxic when it comes to relationships. I know this. Then after you do all that, then you can identify your traumas, your triggers. So what has happened in your childhood? What has happened in your adolescence? What has happened in your young adult or adult that has caused you to become toxic, that has caused you to self-sabotage? Did you not get enough attention from your parents? Were you molested as a child? What traumas have you faced that caused you to be the way that you are? Think about what has impacted you to make you want to pick fights or ultimately has caused you to have low self-esteem in your relationship. After you have become honest with yourself, after you have identified your triggers, then and only then you can work to fix those triggers. You can learn to, if you're dealing with a childhood abandonment, you can learn to accept those apologies that you never got. You can learn to forgive, your mother or your father, your grandparents, or whoever, your auntie or your uncle, for whatever it is that they did to you, that verbal abuse, that physical abuse, that mental abuse, whatever it is that they did to you, you can learn to forgive them. One thing that I see with relationships is, parents, grandparents, people that are very close to us, they carry a lot of weight with us. The things that they say, the things that they do, how they treat us, how they react to certain things, that goes on with us through the duration of our life. And so if you don't like the way that you were treated at some point in adulthood, you have to accept that apology that you never got, forgive, and move on, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to suffer in your life for that. And it's going to affect your relationships if you don't deal with it. So be honest with yourself, identify your traumas, and then and only then can you and will you be able to choose quality relationships, right? That's the important thing, the quality of the relationship. And that's being able to identify the right person for you. So who is going to treat you like a king or queen? Who is going to make you feel worthy? Who is going to not necessarily, let me back up, not necessarily make you feel worthy, but heighten and enhance your worthiness, right? Because you have to feel worthy on your own before you even attempt to get into a relationship. But this person that you're with should enhance that. They should make you feel like, baby, listen, you can't say nothing to me. In the most humble way I can put that. But no, seriously, you have to be able to get into quality relationships. And if you are not identifying your traumas and your triggers, if you're not honest with yourself, you are not going to pick quality people. You are going to attract your vibe at that particular moment. You are going to attract somebody that you really truly don't want. You are going to attract bad behaviors. And then when you do that, you have to be willing to set those boundaries. You have to be willing to adhere to those boundaries, right? Because it's one thing to set them, but you have to keep them. And this is where boundaries is important, because if you know you have triggers, if you know you have traumas, you have to express that to your significant other. You have to tell them, hey, listen, I have an issue with somebody getting loud with me. I don't take well to people raising their voice at me. Okay, that's a trigger for me. That's a trigger to my toxic behavior. So you can set that boundary with your significant other, right? Because you're aware now, you're self-aware. So you are good with choosing quality relationships, and then you're good within those quality relationships setting boundaries to say, hey, when we argue, when we fight, I need to keep it at a tone where we are discussing. We don't always have to agree, but it needs to be a respectful tone, because that's a trigger for me. And then set those boundaries. That was just a little example, but you get where I'm going with that and what I mean by that. Set the boundaries. That's the only way that you will be able to keep your toxicity and your self-sabotage under wraps, is you have to have those boundaries within the relationship. Another thing that I want to talk about is a lot of the times when it comes to self-sabotage, we fear failure. And I want to say failure only happens when you don't begin. And I know that's so cliche to say, but if you go through life saying that you don't want to start over, you don't want to try again because of X, Y, and Z and what happened in the past, you are only setting yourself up for failure. That is the ultimate failure right there. You have to go through life with the ability to grow and know that with growth, you're going to fall. But it's about learning the lessons and picking yourself back up. So when you think about your childhood traumas, when you think about your triggers, think about those things. Think about how they have shaped you. Think about the lessons that you can learn. Think about the things that you can take away and apply to your relationship. Okay, I don't like the fact that my so-and-so talked down to me, but guess what? I'm not going to do that to my husband or wife. I'm not going to do that to my children. You have to look at things and say what you're not going to do, especially when you're looking at things that you didn't like in your past. Okay, take that, accept it. It happened to you. It has shaped you, but it's not going to control you, and it's not going to control your relationships. It's not going to control how you treat your significant other or your future children. You're going to take it all, you're going to learn from it, and you're going to move forward. And the last thing that I want to talk about is just really significant to have, because I feel like we should all have somebody in our corner, somebody that's rooting for us, somebody that's cheering for us, somebody that we can talk to, vent to, get all the icky feelings out. Gain a trusted friend. It's so, so important. Gain a trusted friend that is not going to be biased, that is going to be transparent with you, and somebody that you respect, right? Because there's no point in talking to somebody that you don't respect, somebody that you don't value their opinion. There's no point in that. Don't do it. Get you a trusted friend. I like to call that friend the self-sabotage accountability partner. Somebody that's going to check you and say, hey, listen, you're out of line, you're being toxic, you're being dramatic. Let me reel you back in so we can regroup and try to figure out X, Y, and Z. Try to figure out how we can stop this from happening. How we can figure out how we can change the trajectory of the direction of, change the trajectory of the relationship. How can we improve? Get you somebody like that. Self-sabotage happens. It is not the end of the world. What is the end of the world is when you don't want to identify it for what it is and you blame everybody else for what it is that you are doing, what it is that you are internally feeling on the inside. That's what's not okay. We all make mistakes. We all falter. We all mess up in relationships. But the problem is when we don't take our weaknesses and try to change them. We don't take our weaknesses and try to learn from them. We don't take our weaknesses and try to fix them, work them out. You can't just look at your weaknesses and say, oh, hey, they're there. Who cares? No, you have to look at yourself, accept it, and change it. Okay, I know that I am a certain type of way. I accept that, and not accept it in the case of I'm not going to do anything about it, but I accept that this is the situation. I accept that this is A, B, and C now. However, I do want to change A, B, and C to whatever it is that you need to change A, B, and C to. So don't look at it like a bad thing. I think we look at bad things about ourselves, and we just think it's the end of the world, and it's not the end of the world. Like I keep saying, it's only the end of the world if you choose not to work on it, if you choose not to address it. That is not how you get a healthy relationship, by ignoring your issues, by acting like they're not there. We all have something that we can be self-aware about, and self-sabotage is one of those things that hinder you from having a healthy relationship. It forms toxicity, it forms a resentment, it forms frustration, and it's really just not a good thing to keep in yourself, because it starts with you first, and then to take that into a relationship and try to damage somebody else up and make them go crazy. Fix it, face it head on, embrace it, and then change it. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this quick video on how to not self-sabotage. Just remember, be honest with yourself. Identify those traumas and triggers, and then only then can you work to fix those traumas and triggers. And I actually have something in the works regarding that. I'm not going to announce it yet. Maybe later on next year, because that's when it'll be happening, hopefully. But I have something with that. And then after you are honest with yourself, after you identify those triggers, after you work to heal those triggers, then and only then can you choose the quality relationships. And then once you choose those quality relationships, make sure you set boundaries. Make sure you communicate. I have a trigger. I have a past trauma that causes me not to like X, Y, and Z. So your partner knows, hey, I don't need to do X, Y, and Z because homegirl or homeboy is going to blow up and it's not going to be a good situation. Set those boundaries and make sure you adhere to those boundaries. Make sure that you are showing this person how you need to be loved, how you need to be respected. So guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon.